he and I have been friends for quite some time.
Excellent. Excellent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hello, Bill Cox. Good to see you.
Yes, I have a break, a moment from programming. I've never met Mike, so I wanted to pop in and say hi and thank you for joining us today. This has been it's been a great start to the show. I'm looking forward to the chat with you today.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be great.
Absolutely, man. I sent you a message, Bill, on the private chat because we definitely want to show Mike's art that is there on I guess Ruben the Collector's
you know what
page.
I'll when I leave here I'll get those images and I'll get them loaded into the studio for you.
That'd be great, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
and thank you everybody, and it's good to see Ted Baxter from the Mary Tyler Moore Show joining us, the Silver Fox himself, Mike Perkins. I'm just so
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's one of those American things where I'm like, what?
It's all right. No. It's Ted Knight, the guy who used to be the voiceover guy for the Super Friends cartoons. You got to do. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
I think it's more like a Magneto or a Quicksilver.
Yes. Oh my God, Mike, you got to cosplay. I mean, what are you doing at DC? You got to cosplay as Quicksilver and as Magneto.
Deathstroke, right? It would be Deathstroke at
DC. It would be.
Yeah.
You got to grow the beard.
Got to get the goatee.
Yeah, man.
Get my
eye patch. Exactly.
Get my eye out.
Mike, how many years has it been now that you've been at DC?
3.
Okay, I know. With COVID, who the hell knows? I know. It's true.
It feels like 23 because of the
I understand
COVID.
that too.
Yeah.
But first of all,
the last time we met was just before, like at C2E2 last year, and then everything just collapsed.
I know, man. And it was great seeing you, and I'm glad. I felt that way with Tom King as well. It's like, God,
right.
I'm so glad, friends, that we were able to see each other before things got weird. And thankfully, we're coming out of it. Hey, I was just talking with the guys on the John Paul Leon tribute, and Charlie Adler said you're moving back to.
That's
to
right.
UK.
Oh, he's giving all my secrets away.
Tell me, what's up, man? Good Lord, are you sick of us?
No, it's. I think it's this year. If this year has taught us anything, it's the importance of family.
I understand totally.
I think that's basically what it comes down to.
I don't blame you, man. That's great. Well, that's wonderful to hear. So, as much as we'll miss you, you'll come back. You'll do.
I'll be just around the corner from Charlie. So
okay. Well, and now once the international flights ease up, I got to go to Thought Bubble and the like.
Right.
And experience the European cons finally.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure.
Absolutely. Let's see. Already we got great people coming on and saying hello.
Excellent.
And very cool. Art is not sold live here. This is the Q&A, but we are directing people to Ruben the Artist's page where Mike's
Ruben the Collector.
Ruben the Collector, excuse me. Thank you. Ruben the Collector, and that's where you can go to purchase some great stuff from Mike, and we hope in the hour to be showing some of the great stuff that Mike has been doing recently. So let's talk Swamp Thing and Rob Lee. Great collaboration, and I mean, again, your beautiful style is up to the task, but this is really great. I really think Ron has an interesting take, and of course, technically a different Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah, totally a different Swamp Thing. That was one of the things that kind of really enticed us, I think, because we were talking about it, and I think it kind of came out of the 5G thing, and then that kind of fell apart. But this was still strong enough to carry on this idea, and there was just this chance that we were talking, and we kind of decided that Alec Holland's story has been told, basically.
Agreed.
and told very well.
Yes.
And retold very well. So it was kind of refreshing that we were starting with a new guy. But it's already been established within the Swamp Thing history that, you know, it's a continuation.
Yes.
It is, you know, the green has gone throughout history. It's not just the one person. So it was already established anyway. Even from the offset, you know, when the first Bernie Wrightson story, you know, is now established as a different guy. And then when they relaunched the series, it was Alec Holland, you know, so it's already been pre-established that Swamp Thing is not the same character all the time.
Yeah.
And of course, with Ram's background as well, he really wanted to bring in an Indian character and talk from where he knows, you know. So it all worked out perfectly, really, you know. And Swamp Thing is just one of those characters I think everybody wants a crack at some point.
That's excellent, man. No, I again, it's beautiful, and we're only getting started. I mean, you're only like 5 issues in or so, right?
Yeah. Just I'm halfway through issue 6 at the moment. Sorry, Tom.
I was just going to ask, in terms of design, because it has to be familiar and different at the same time, obviously, because it is a different avatar than Alec Holland.
Right.
So yeah, you know, I mean, what were you thinking? What was the?
Well, kind of. He's a lot more slimmer, athletic. I don't see him as tall as the Alex Swamp Thing. I mean, the Alex Swamp Thing was 7'5" or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he can change whatever his height is. I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But I see him kind of more, you know, 6'5", 6'6", something like that. And plus the fact we're starting at the beginning of his road. And so he's also learning how to control his body, how to control the green. And at the moment, Levi, the main character in it, he can go backwards and forwards between the swamp monster and the human body. So that's an interesting take as well. And it's not like a Ghost Rider thing where it's the human body and the host takes over. It's more like the Swamp Thing builds the body. Like Levi's memories are still so on the surface that the vegetation builds the body.
Understood. I'm bringing up a cover that I believe is you. Is this you?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Great example right there, man. Great stuff, and truly, I love the way the story began in Future State, with a lot of questions, and again, you know, getting to where we are now currently.
Yeah, we kind of delve into that a little bit from issue 6, where you're going to be seeing more about the origin of the Swamp Thing, his family life beforehand, and his growth into that thing. And there's a kind of conflict between him and his brother, and you've already seen his brother in Future State, and you might not have known it yet, but you'll see it when it comes up. You'll be going,
that's great.
Oh, they set it up ages ago.
That's excellent, man. Well, and as you say, it started with 5G and now is kind of morphed into Future State and Infinite Frontier.
I think most of the Future State things were coming out of 5G, I think.
Yeah, it seemed like, at least from broad strokes, and I know some things were refined. I was just talking to Josh Williamson about Infinite Frontier in general and stuff. You know, I like what's going on. I really think that it's again familiar but fresh at the same time, and I like the way, as you just alluded to in Future State, that there are still questions to be answered as far as you know, everything that's going on, and that's great. That's what the reader needs.
Yeah, for sure.
So very cool.
Yeah. I mean, the future state stuff was great to get into as well. Just because the Swamp Thing stuff was so far in the future, and it was basically telling the story of the end of humanity, really.
Yep.
And just the fact that Swamp Thing couldn't cut himself off from that. You know, he had tried to establish his own community of swamp creatures using elements of himself. But the one thing lacking was that humanity, really.
Understood. I'm noticing that people are already bidding on different pieces that we got here. Oh, Brian Peck has a question. Hold on.
Okay.
And Mike used a lot of medical reference books when drawing the pages with this new Swamp Thing.
Yeah. I mean, Grey's Anatomy was right there. I mean, it was just, and Ram and I, we work very closely together. We'll always be throwing things backwards and forwards. So, and Ram comes from a scientific background anyway. I think he was a chemical engineer.
That's correct. Yes.
So you know, he knows a lot of this stuff anyway, and he would send me things, you know, the kind of structure of plants and all this kind of stuff, and we would try to put that structure of plants within Grey's Anatomy, and try to figure out, you know, what goes on, and all this kind of stuff, and it was amazing how much of our anatomy as humans looks plant-like anyway. You know, you would draw things and it's like, well, that looks like a tree, you know. So there were certain things which lent itself to that.
That's excellent, man. And you're right. And also just even the basics of, as you say, looking in Grey's Anatomy, the circulatory system,
right?
Or when they peel the you know, skin and muscle away.
Yeah, all the lungs and everything. I mean, you look at that, and the lungs just look like a tree, and then they talk about trees being the lungs of the planet Earth, and it's like, it's right there.
It kind of makes sense of that the anatomy lesson that really did kind of change everything for Swamp Thing, and you do kind of realize that you know, the similarity and everything. That's excellent. Well, here we got some examples of some of the art you get going. So great Black Widow.
Those on Ruben's site, Black Widow one.
Yep. And
really, for a lot of these, it's more of a case of what takes my fancy at the time.
This looks a little self-portrait-y there, Mike.
Always the Joker comes off as self-portrait. I don't know why that is. It's that manic look in my eyes.
Yeah, you're a much gentler soul than I've always experienced, but I love it. I love that you put yourself in the Joker. That's fantastic, man. Too funny. You're killing me. Penguin, very nice. And I even see a little Perkins in that face too. That's great, man. Too goddamn much. I'm gonna hold off on the others right now. I want to ask, and certainly somebody already acknowledged Lois Lane. Mm-hmm. And man, that series was so fantastic. And Greg were just killing it. Obviously, I won't deny that the fact that the thing was based in Chicago tickled me to no end. And in fact, and I told you this, you guys had Lois Lane based in Chicago, specifically at the Drake Hotel, that is right off the lake, right on Lakeshore Drive. Yeah. And when I was working for CBS News, I would take Lakeshore Drive to work and hit the Drake. And I remember one night being stuck in traffic wall to wall, and we weren't moving for minutes. And I pulled out the phone and had to snap a picture of the Drake. And I used it for Instagram. And I'm like, I'm on my way to have a little confab with Lois before I go to work. Right. So it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah. I bet you were hoping to see Superman coming into that balcony there.
Exactly. I wasn't invited. And, exactly. Please sit down, Clark. I'm not trying to make a move.
Right.
Purely journalistic, mutual admiration. Hopefully on that as well. So, it was honestly, that was what a great series. And really, I know, and you've been to Chicago many times. Obviously, you really took advantage. Of really capturing a lot of great city moments and stuff in the book as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lois was one of the books, along with Swamp Thing. It was on my list. Like when I I first sat down with Dan and we were going through, what do you want to do? What do you want to, attempt to do? And Lois Lane was on that list. It was Lois Lane with Greg Rucka. I mean, that was on my list. The Swamp Thing was on there as well, and plenty more that I'm still dying to get to.
Did you do some Green Lantern in that?
I did. Yeah, we did the Green Lantern. We knew that Green Lantern was ending and it was going into Liam and Grant's run. And so it was myself and Dan Jurgens. So yes. we did Green Lantern together while we were waiting for the Lois to start up. Because I think I had some stuff. I think what happened was we really wanted Lois to go ahead. And originally it was going to be one of the, we discussed it as being one of the launches of the Black Label line. So it was going to be big called The Planet, basically. And so it was Greg's take on Gotham Central, but on the Daily Planet.
Understood.
And it was going to be a lot more adult oriented because it was a Black Label line. And, so it was actually going to be one of the launches of that. And then that all kind of fell apart for various reasons. And then by the time we were ready to go back and start it again, Dan wanted to pull it into the DCU. Because Bendis had started the Superman books at that point. And so it made more sense. I mean, just basically meant more superheroes and less swearing. I mean, that's all it came down to. I mean, Greg was enthusiastic about having a big swear word on the first page, and it would have worked. It would have worked. But maybe we can still use that at some point in the future. Maybe we can still do a Planet book.
I certainly hope so, because I've said this. I really, it's ironic that for a long time Superman didn't have the villains that were equal to his power.
Right.
But that said, that Planet cast of characters was so great, and it only even got better in the 70s when it transferred to WGBH, and you added Steve Lombard and Morgan Edge. And I mean, that's the thing. It really was this like great set of supporting characters that each complemented Superman in a different way.
Totally. And the thing is, I mean, you can play with that so well with with Gotham Central, where you've got this cast of characters dealing with how do you get a story out there when you've got superheroes on your doorstep, kind of thing. And that was we got into that a little bit in the Lois book because basically Lois is even stronger than Superman. And there's that one point where Clark is like, I just want to save you. And she's like, no, back off. This is my story. If people are if I'm in danger, I'm doing my job right. And so there's a lot of moments like that with Lois and Clark, which are beautiful moments. And even Greg would put it in the script. It's just like they're walking along the riverside, and they're having this conversation, and they stop and they kiss, and get over it. This is a kissy book. This is it's great.
But no, you're right, and he's right. Hey, listen, I'm no genius, but ever since I've been doing word building for 16 years now, and from the start, I'm like, why isn't there a Lois Lane book?
Right.
The great thing about Lois is Superman could have anyone he wants. She is the most fascinating woman in the world to him, but also to all of us. We know how great she can be, and she is absolutely, and especially well before Me Too. And the need that we've all known has been there for more female-based books. It's like, this is a no-brainer. This is an investigative reporter that gets the job done, is a better reporter than Clark is.
Right.
And that talent can take her throughout the DC world and universe for that.
Right. And plus the fact that she's respected by everybody in the DCU.
Yep.
You know?
Even the villains.
Yeah.
Even Lex Luthor knows he has to be on guard when he's dealing with Lois Lane.
Yeah, I mean, Greg and I talked about Lois, that she's probably the only person in the DC universe who knows when Batman's disappearing behind her. You know, she's that smart. She's just like, oh well, he's done it again.
Yeah.
She doesn't turn around and go, oh, he's not there. You know, she knows. And everybody in the DC universe respects her completely because that's her superpower, you know. Her superpower is that she's probably the strongest woman out there in the DCU.
I was worried a little bit about the introduction of John Kent and how it might affect Lois's ability to still be Lois and then also be a mom. But I think that's been well handled by all the writers as well.
Totally.
And you guys had great moments of John and Lois as well, meeting on the Riverwalk and that.
Right, and going for pizza.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those books that you know that you could just carry on and do it. I mean, how long? I mean, what was the first Lois Lane series? I don't know. Went on for 165 issues or something. I mean, I was telling Greg, it's like, we got to get to 166, man.
That would have been great. I know, man. I hope that that you get a chance to get back to her if you'd like, and also Greg for that matter as well.
Yeah, I still think that planet thing has legs. So
I agree with you, man.
Perhaps one day, you know, I'll have to talk Greg into it.
Mr. Red Jack, and folks, please feel free to bring up questions or comments. But Mr. Red Jack 12 says, Doc Multiverse Crisis was a fantastic book. Loved your take on the JSA. Truly heartbreaking. One of the best stories in a long time. Yeah. Steve
Orlando did a fantastic job on that. It was the first time I've worked with him, and we've talked about working together before, because he's such a Union Jack fan. And Ruben was I'll go backwards and forwards with Ruben, you know, about this, and Ruben was like, yes, do it, you know.
We're all glad you did, man. Yeah. Seriously. It
was nice to actually get a bit of that superhero action going again after Lois, because it's a very down to earth book.
Yes.
So it's nice to remind people that you can still do the superheroes, you know, because you know, people have short memories, especially editorial sometimes, you know.
Well, and you were doing, you know, even years earlier and stuff at Marvel, you were doing, like, weren't you doing Dark Tower?
The Stand.
Excuse me, The Stand. Yeah. I know it was a Stephen King. I forgot. It was definitely Stephen King. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's like, you know, great bookstore fodder, but not necessarily direct market.
Right.
And yeah, like you said. So you said, was it Orlando that you said was a big Union Jack fan back in the day?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We spoke at one of the megacons we were out, and we were talking about Union Jack, and he was saying, "Oh man, I'd love to do a Union Jack book," you know, and that's funny.
You're always Craig, for my audio audience. Chris is saying Mike's always the best dressed generally.
I'm just trying to think. Spurrier always wears pretty good clothes.
Art and Franco usually come dressed.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if you know Mulcher. I don't know if you know Mike Mulcher from 2000 AD.
No, I've never met him.
All right. Well, he's one of their marketing guys, and he's always spoofed up. He looks good, man. He's got the old tweed on and everything.
Who are you looking for? I mean, who's your old group in the UK when you get back? I mean, obviously Charlie's happy that you're coming back, but Charlie Adler. But who else is a part of your group back there?
You know, there's a lot of people around that area. Charlie's there. John Wagner's there.
Oh, great.
Robbie Morrison, Christian Ward. So there's a bunch of people around there. But I mean, when I was over there, I mean, it's not that far from Birmingham. There were a group of us in England who would meet up once a month, once every 2 months. Man, I'm going to go over the names now, and I'll be missing names, and everyone will be peed off with me. Yeah, so there was Ian Edgington and Phil Winslade and Paul Birch and James Hodgkins, Mark Farmer, Richard Elson. There was John McRae.
That's great.
And Tennyson. There was all of us out there, you know. Steve Pugh, Lou Stringer.
Sure.
Loads of us.
That's wonderful, man.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
Lord. I mean, I always say if I had my wares to live anywhere, and I'm very blessed being in Chicago and surrounded by the creators that are here.
Right.
But I would go to Portland in a shot.
Oh yeah.
Because or Kansas City. I know a lot of friends in Kansas City.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean, but Portland. Every time I see all my West Coast friends, I'm like, God, I could think of like a dozen people that I'm good friends with. That I'm like, oh, it'd be great to see. And I feel like that when I visit them. It's like, can't we all live? And I feel this way about you as well, Mike. It's like, can't we all live on the same street? And just run into each other like we do at cons and have a drink or coffee or whatever or a meal, you know.
Well, plus the fact, England is a lot smaller place anyway. So I know that now. Before I came to America, it was,
pretty big.
It was pretty big, but now I know that 2 hours is commuting distance. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going on holiday, So it's a different place.
Old school Shinobi, good question. Did you get to work at all, like with Stephen King specifically, while you were adapting The Stand, or was it with his office mostly?
No, it was we email, and we still do every now and again.
Oh, great!
But it was more of a case of he wanted to see the character designs and things like that. So he loved them, And for me, that was a concern, because millions of people see the characters differently. Every person sees the character how they want to see it. So as soon as I got Stephen's okay, then I wasn't worried about anybody else liking it or not. So I mean, every now and again we'll just he would send me emails all the time, saying, oh, I'm like a kid in a candy shop every time a new issue comes out.
Well, he's a legitimate comics fan, so that's even better. So you're getting a guy that it's so fascinating hearing both authors, the way they deal with comic book adaptations, but also the Hollywood people.
Right.
I remember I had a great conversation with Jerry Wardway about Batman '89.
Right.
And it was so amazing that, he had to do the likenesses then.
That was fantastic. That was probably one of the best adaptations ever.
I'm with you, but then he told me about this one head sketch piece he did of various angles of Nicholson, and apparently Nicholson circled one. He's like, this doesn't look at all like me. And it's just like, that's amazing. It's like, oh, because, mostly it was the agent talking, but he's like, okay, clearly that's Jack stepping in and going, wait a minute. No.
You get that all the time. I think it was when Ian Edgington was writing some Star Trek stuff. And I don't know who was drawing the book at that time, but he would get things back saying little things. Like Picard with Patrick Stewart write back and go, well, my head's not that shape, it's more pointy. And I've had a bit of work done around there since those photos were taken. Can we incorporate that?
That's outstanding. When were you working on Star Trek?
I wasn't doing it. It was Ian Edgington.
Ian
who was drawing it at that point.
I see. Okay.
I think the only film adaptation I've done was the Elektra adaptation, and that was like you couldn't draw it as Elektra in the comics, and you couldn't draw it like Jennifer Garner, and I was like,
I was just saying you couldn't do either. That's great.
No, so you had to do it somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So did she look? And you'll forgive me because, of course, I'm Greek, and I immediately think of Elektra as a Greek woman. Right, so I mean, I would love to see an example of your Elektra.
No, you really wouldn't.
Speaking of Patrick Stewart, although this is more of a proper Professor X.
Right, I enjoyed that one. That's one was amazing. That one was niggling in my mind. Like I said, a lot of these these 11 by 14 illustrations, they're kind of things that just take me at that time. You know, I don't sit down and write a list of things I'm going to do. I'll be like, okay, I'll do a Professor X at the moment, and you know, and then I'm trying to think of a way to make it interesting.
Sure. That's
because you know, who's going to want to buy, you know,
just a head,
just a Professor X.
Well, here's a Phoenix
and Jean Grey. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus. That's really interesting, and that's a very interesting face. Right. I mean, still beautiful, but yeah. Did you have an actor? I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble.
No.
But yeah, you know, any specific face in mind with that?
No, I think the problem is if you use an actor or an actress for those things, you see it takes you away from the actual piece. You know.
I understand.
So you'll be looking at it and go, oh, that's so and so. That's, you know.
It's funny. I mentioned to.
Is he talking about me? Is Ruben talking about me?
Let's say yes. Let's say, is that, by the way, for Ruben's avatar? Is that
that's
Scarlet Witch. That's outstanding, man. Oh, that's funny. And yeah, Old School says it looks a little bit like Emily Blunt.
Okay,
I can see that. Sure. Here, I'll go back.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Good Lord. You know, yeah, I don't know what I almost was thinking of, and again, you'll forgive me, but a girl I went to high school with, Liz Fair.
Right. Well, it's not her.
She's lovely. Great and very sweet. Nice, very nice lady.
Right.
Very, very nice lady. So I was starting to say, Gabe Hardman, you know, have you ever seen that wonderful Orson Welles' Batman that he did years ago?
Right.
I've bugged him for years, and I do want a stunt cast. And what I want him to draw, I don't know if you know this old school actor from the 40s and 50s, Robert Taylor.
Yeah.
I'd like him in the Iron Man outfit. I think I think mustache Robert Taylor, 1950s Robert Taylor, kind of looks like Tony Stark.
Right.
So
I remember doing a Freddie Mercury as Kraven the Hunter once. That was
Mike Norton drew Tim Seeley as Doctor Strange one night at a casual drink and draw. Excellent. And I was pounding the floor laughing, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty good.
And suitable.
It worked. It absolutely worked. Here, wait. More art. Let's see here. Who do we not show? We didn't show the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Did you watch the show?
I haven't really seen a lot of other stuff. I'm usually working, and then when I'm not working, I'm with my wife and daughter, and then if we do sit down to watch any TV, it's usually a British murder mystery thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not from a case of not wanting to see it. It's just having the time to.
I understand.
To sit down. And especially with a young daughter as well. I mean, she's 11 now, but even so, you can't sit down and watch certain things. You know. So
well, sure. No, I understand. Definitely. Speaking of British TV, I have both BritBox and Acorn.
Right.
Because I love British television.
Yeah.
You know, the show I discovered on Amazon that I wasn't aware of from the early 2000s. It's Nick Frost is the star, and it's called Hyperdrive.
Oh yeah.
Really funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've read a lot about it.
It's very much like the Orville,
right?
In terms of it's definitely a Star Trek trope, but it's its own thing. And honestly, I was really surprised, and it's on Amazon Prime now.
Right.
And I would say if anyone's curious watching this to watch it, I would start with the second episode because they're all self-contained episodes. Yeah. But I felt the second episode was funnier than the first episode. And the first episode was fine, but you don't need it to really understand the premise. So, there you go.
Yeah. My wife's favorite, I mean, she's seen them all now, multiple times. My wife's favorite was, because we like the murder mystery stuff.
Yeah.
But her favorite was Rosemary in Thyme, which is because it's murder mystery and gardening.
That's great. Well, you know, being here with America now, the Lifetime movies, they've got the Gardener mysteries, they've got the crossword puzzle mysteries, they got the mysteries. You know, there's like a whole cottage industry of or Hallmark. It's Hallmark that
Oh, really?
Detective films and
Okay.
stuff. But no, that's great. I love that idea, dude. I mean, Broadchurch was fantastic.
Right.
You know what? And a little grisly for the 11-year-old, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. What else are you showing your 11-year-old as far as good Brit TV?
Murder. You know, it's really weird that the one program that we didn't even think of showing her, which she kind of, it's like
they want to see. Also wants to see Mike's
excellent.
adaptation of Luther, which
no problem.
That'd be pretty cool.
The one program that we started watching and we thought she would have no interest in whatsoever, and she really got into it, was the Upstart Crow. Have you seen that? The Shakespeare,
yes,
comedy Shakespeare.
Yes,
and she absolutely loves it, and
That's
because
terrific.
of that, she's really got into Shakespeare as well.
Oh wow!
And she's actually rewritten the first scene of Macbeth into a kind of COVID era kind of thing.
Oh, is that the Three Witches, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
A Tampa-based COVID era Macbeth.
That's fantastic. That's a great idea, man. All right, a writer in the making already. That's
right. She can write them, I'll draw them. Just.
Oh God, I agree with Old School on all of these British shows.
Right.
He liked Lovejoy, A Touch of Frost, and Foyle's War. Big
Foyle's War was great. I like Foyle's War.
Yeah,
I like the actor in it who just. It's almost like a Columbo thing, when he'll just be looking at the guy and he'll be saying, "No, you're lying." You know, it's great. It's just like,
and I love the home front wartime stuff,
right?
That British TV really gets into,
right.
I'm always fascinated, and Cold War stuff as well,
right?
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right,
and Natalia as well. She's really into Doctor Who at the moment.
Oh, that's great.
She loves it. It was the 13th Doctor who got her into it. It was like a woman doctor, you know, because every now and again I would have said, "Oh, let's watch Doctor Who." No, I'm not interested. And then the 13th Doctor came out, and that was it. She was interested. And then she went back and started watching the 11th Doctor. But the 11th Doctor that's the star for her, you know.
David Tennant?
Matt Smith.
It was Matt Smith, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, yeah. No, I can appreciate that. Sure.
Yeah. So
wasn't he incredible? I don't know if you were watching The Crown.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
God, I love The Crown. And, man, he was amazing as Prince Philip.
Right.
Really. I mean, I've always liked Matt Smith, but I really felt his acting went up a notch in that series.
Yeah.
With
there was a conversation on one of the other. So I think it was a GalaxyCon thing, and there was a Doctor Who roundtable, and myself and Natalia sent a question in, like the guys are doing here.
Sure.
And she asked them about the fez. You know, do you still like our fez is still cool? And so they all talked about it. And Matt Smith ran away from the camera and put the fez on for her, and that was it. She was
of course. That's fantastic. Oh, Brian Peck wants to know who your favorite Doctor was.
That's difficult. Oh man, that is difficult. I mean, my Doctor, when I was first aware of, I guess, was Tom Baker.
Okay,
so Peter Davison was more my Doctor because that was when he changed.
Yes,
that was the first one I was most aware of. But I don't know. That's difficult. I do love Matt Smith stuff. So there's Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi are kind of head and head. But I do love the Paul McGann stuff, even though most of it's on Big Finish on the audio stuff.
I'm so with you, Mike. Yeah. I truly, Big Finish is so great. Their Doctor Who stories are so on the money, authentic feeling, and I mean they spend the right money and they cast well and they spend the right money as far as writing goes. I mean, these are real people that get it and love it. And I know prior to Big Finish, Nick had been like kind of progressing to that point, making all those Doctor Who fan films he was doing before finally doing Big Fish. And McGann and also Colin Baker, I feel, are really redeemed by the Big Finish productions, and especially poor Colin with all the starts and stops that he went through during his run, and frankly, poor scripts.
Right.
And I think better served with the Big Finish stuff.
Yeah, one of my friends, he writes for Big Finish every now and again, and he's a huge Doctor Who fan, and he always says the best answer for that, who is your favorite Doctor? The best answer is the favorite Doctor Who is the one, whoever you're watching at that moment.
Well, sure.
You know, it's the same person. You know.
Well,
so,
of course, that's true too.
If Brian Peck is asking it, then I would say my favorite Doctor is Steed, because he's such an Avengers nerd.
Yeah, Patrick McNee, obviously, absolutely. No, I was going to say, it's like the James Bonds. There's no such thing as a bad James Bond, and I know people might pick on George Lazenby or might say that Timothy Dalton's 2 movies weren't as great as the rest. And those, I think the Dalton movies have flaws. But as far as playing James Bond, I don't think there's any bad James Bond. I think they're all great, including Lazenby. And regarding the Doctors,
apart from Woody Allen.
Yeah, there you go. Jimmy Bond, Casino Royale. Absolutely. The first one. David Niven, a fine James Bond in his own right. But I think my favorite is John Pertwee.
Right.
I love Tom Baker. And really, really appreciate it. But we got in Chicago after the Baker run. They gave us the Pertwee run along with the Davison run. And it was like, and I love Davison too. And I got to meet all 3, which is incredible for me. And Baker was amazing and gregarious and wonderful. And Peter Davidson was very sweet. Sam Dickinson was with him.
I met Peter in a bar in Miami. We were talking for a long time. And he was lovely. He was such a lovely guy. And I've heard Tom Baker in the background in a pub in London. I was there with my agent, and all you could hear was Tom Baker in the background. Oh,
well, that voice, that Tom Baker voice. Yes, hello, Romana. Yeah. Oh my God, I love when Colshaw interviewed him as Tom Baker. On whatever show it was. I've seen the YouTube clip. Colshaw is amazing. Good Lord, as someone who half-assed did voices on radio for years, really appreciate a fine impressionist. And Colshaw is just, especially when he does Baker, it's like, oh my God. But Pertwee was amazing because he was as big in person as he seemed watching it and stuff. And absolutely was like, you're damn right, I'm the Doctor. And it's like, yeah, that's amazing, man. This is incredible. Couldn't have been sweeter. All 3 of them, real great gentlemen, really.
I'm really hoping, now that they brought David Bradley in as the first Doctor, I'm really hoping that they bring Sean Pertwee in as the for the next anniversary thing.
Yes, because he really facially looks like his father.
Even more so now. Yeah,
and you give him the right wig, and he really could do it. And I bet I bet it happens at some point.
There's a picture of him out there in the same costume as his dad, as the Doctor, and it's spot on.
Absolutely, man. And that was really, I wasn't a big fan of the Gotham television show. My exception was I really liked the way he played Alfred. And it really was great. So no, I'm with you, man. That's so goddamn funny. Absolutely. I love the Doctor Who tangent. That's wonderful. A couple more pieces. Here's Wolverine.
That's what we always do when we get together. We always just talk about whatever.
Exactly, man. No, this is what we do. We hang out and we talk. Absolutely. So Wolverine, beautiful. That's outstanding. These are great, man. And again, I'll put up the URL, but it's at hold on one sec. Didn't I have it? Where the hell is it? Somebody had it. Hang on. I believe there it is. Ruben's booth is right here, everybody.
There you go.
So that's where you can pick this stuff up. Amazing stuff. So obviously Swamp Thing's a full-time job and everything. Are you doing covers or anything like that as well?
Well, the covers for the issues, but not for anything else. So just it really is like a full-time thing. Issue 5, we've got John McCrae coming in to do an issue. and most of that came about because I bought his the Mighty World of McRae thing he did on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I bought a copy of that, and we've known each other for years, so we've gone backwards and forwards. And he said, "Oh, I'm so jealous you're doing Swamp Thing," and I said, "We've probably got a filling coming up. Do you want me to put a word in?" Oh yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
So, that's kind of how it came about, really. So it's nice to see a different take on your character as well.
No question.
But then with 6, when I come back in 6, we got the basically the Suicide Squad is sent in to take him down. So that's really interesting, and we kind of delve into the origins at the same time. So we're playing on different time. There's memories in there, and then the Suicide Squad are coming in. And,
are you able to reveal which members of the squad?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, no problem. We don't mind surprises.
Peacemaker's in there because he's one of the main guys at the moment, but I don't know how much else I can say.
Okay, no, I understand.
It probably doesn't make one spit of difference, but
no. Well, and I mean, really, Mike, how many of the DC heroes have you had a chance to really draw so far? I mean, obviously, Lois, you had Superman and Batman show up.
Yeah, we've had Batman on different things. We had Batman and Diana talking in one of the books. Bruce and Diana talking in one of the books when Superman revealed his identity, and there was that big can't even remember what it was called now. Just Superman Heroes or something.
Yeah,
Bendis was putting together. So we Greg and I worked on that one, and then of course the JSA thing was
of course,
fantastic.
That's cool.
I mean, the DC heroes I haven't even touched yet.
I was going to say, mentioning Peacekeeper, is that your first Charlton hero?
The Peacemaker, yeah.
That's what I meant. Peacemaker, excuse me. And it's this is interesting, and I'm gonna have to zoom in on you. But John sees the cover to Ruse number 7 on the wall behind you there. Hold on a second. Here we go. Boom.
He is such a ruse nerd.
There it is.
He's got most of the covers himself, actually.
Oh, that's great. That's excellent. Yeah,
but he hasn't
always. Looking back, man, that was always one of my my favorite runs of yours was Ruse. I thought that was a great series that you and Wade did. Back in the cross-gen years, and that's is that what brought you to the States working in cross-gen?
Yeah. They wanted everybody working in-house, so it was more of a case of we'll go for 3 years and make some contacts, and that was in 2001.
Wow. I know, another lifetime ago, exactly.
Right.
Well, even before your daughter was born, so yeah.
Totally, yeah.
That's amazing. So, do you stay? I mean, are you friends with any of the artists from the cross-gen experience still?
Oh, yes. I mean, everybody is. I don't think there's any bad feelings between any of the artists whatsoever. A lot of people went back to where they were living before. There's not really that many people around here. So yeah, I mean, after cross-gen wrapped up, I had a studio. There was me, Laura Martin, Butch Geiss, and Andrew Hennessy, and we all had a studio together. So that was great. That was like a decompression chamber. After working in a studio of 100 people, it was difficult to just go back and work in your house, So we had that. We had that stuff where it was nice to work with those people.
Understood. Ruben points out that as far as DC heroes goes, you drew about 200 of them in
pretty much
Dark Multiverse story. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I can appreciate that, definitely.
Pretty much, but there's this whole lot more.
I understand.
I've got that big Who's Who omnibus down here. The one they just put out. I mean, I've got the single comics when they came out as well, but I got the omnibus down there, so I'm working my way through it. Just pick them up when I get to them.
I've asked, or I've just observationally, it's always been interesting to hear UK creators and how they got American comics. because I mean, everyone, or I shouldn't say everyone, I shouldn't assume, but people may not know that a lot of American comics, the only reason why they made it to the UK was that they literally were used as ballast for ships.
Yeah.
So there really was just, they were there for weight.
Yeah.
For whatever cargo was going over to the UK.
Yeah, and of course, because of that, you wouldn't get the main comics. You wouldn't get Spider-Man. You wouldn't get Captain America comics or anything like that. It was stuff like, Shogun Warriors and ROM and things like this, So
somebody bought the Joker.
Excellent. Did Chris get it?
We're not sure, but yeah. So let me show you what you can't buy anymore, folks. It's this beautiful piece right now, and so I think that makes 7 of the 13 pieces that are in Ruben the Collector's booth. So get them while they last.
Right.
But go on, Mike.
All right. Yeah. So it was all those comics that maybe weren't the best sellers, kind of thing, and a lot of the times we didn't really get a lot of DC books. Mostly it was Marvel, and the Marvel reprints were going around, the black and white Marvel reprints. So excellent. Thanks, Chris. So it was very much, it was the DC books were somewhere else. We didn't really come across them that much. Every now and again we would see them. But I mean, I still remember the very first actual DC American comic I picked up was when I was maybe 4 years old, and that was only because we were traveling somewhere on a coach somewhere, and we stopped at the motorway service station, and there was a comic there, and I picked it up, and it was fantastic. It was Batman 456 when he's kissed to death. It was, and in fact, it was. It was the kiss of death or something like that, and that was one of the things we went back to in Lois Lane. There was this villainess, this new villainess we introduced in it, the kiss of death, and that's kind of where it came from.
That's excellent.
I was telling Greg, this was one of the first comics I picked up. Can we utilize it somehow?
That's amazing, man. Outstanding. Very, very funny. Crazy stuff. So, all right. So, like you said, John is going to fill in for you on issue 5. I don't know. Has that come out yet?
No, issue 4 comes out in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're taking a break up for 5, but then you're back on 6.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll be the rhythm?
That's really just to accommodate the move, really.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense. Of course. Yes.
But the whole thing, I'm not really a filling guy. When I take on a series, I want to do the whole thing. And so for me, it was very difficult to give it up. But it was just one of those things I had to do. It was, and to do the whole season 1, which we would love to do. And Ram and I have already chatted about a season 2. So, sales are going very well.
I was going to say, it looks like it's doing fine. So there's going to be a need for it.
Critically acclaimed. So we're kind of hoping that will be the case, that we'll just go straight into the season 2 afterwards, which, for what we've got in mind for it, would be fantastic.
That's excellent to hear, man. Very, very cool. I don't know. Did you know John Paul Leon? We unfortunately lost him.
Yes, I did.
Any thoughts on John? I don't
know. No, he was such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
He was. We met a few times at the Ultimate Cons, in Durham, and oh man, he was such a lovely guy. I mean, he was so level. There wasn't any kind of big-headedness or anything like that.
No.
And of course, his work was just astounding.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that he utilized those blacks, those shadows, and everything it was brilliant.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with you, man. Yeah, it's I mean, a great guy, and then thankfully, again, the legacy of books that he did will live on. I mean, we've seen that with Darwin in the last 5 years,
right?
and I know that John Paul's stuff is going to live on. So
Yeah,
that's great. Well, there's a GoFundMe page, of course, for a memorial for him. And this weekend, Comic Art Live is urging people to go and contribute to that.
Right.
And also, there's some pieces that Mark Hay, John's former art dealer, and other artists as well have donated pieces to support that GoFundMe. And I'm just pointing that out because I made a commercial for that as well for the weekend. So if you don't see it, we just want to make people aware of that. So yeah. But yeah, no, Mike, I'm so glad that Swamp Thing's going as well as it is. And I think you and Ram are telling a very intriguing story that everyone is excited to be reading, and I'm glad that's going well. And again, you seem very at home at DC, and I look forward to more DC work from you in the current and near future and everything. So congratulations, good luck on the move. Stay safe, and I'm sure this is going to be great for your daughter. It's going to be a great experience as well, going in, checking out a new environment. She okay with the move?
Oh, totally.
That's great. That's great. Excellent. All right. I guess there we go. Ruben saying shout out to Mike Spicer.
Yes, of course.
More Pale Wanderer. Oh, and thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it. I think I knew it was going to be an easy, great conversation as always with Mike Perkins. This is what happens when we see each other at conventions. You're one of the first creators I ever met, Mike, and you've always been a beyond a gentleman and then a good buddy and everything. So as always, it's great seeing you. And
hopefully we'll see each other face to face in the real world sometime soon.
Do you know what your next public convention might be? It's going to be post-move, obviously.
Probably not. I've been in talks with the guys in Raptors, Norway, for the Bergen Festival.
Yeah,
they still don't know if they're having it yet. They usually have it in September. But I've also been talking to the Thought Bubble guys as well, because they've got one in November.
Very cool.
So I might be doing that one.
That's great, man. That's excellent, dude. Thank you for your time. Really glad you're doing this.
Anytime they want me in Chicago, I'll be there.
And I don't blame you. Absolutely, man. And I want to once again, it's Ruben the Collector's booth here at Comic Art Live to go there for the remaining pieces of some incredible work.
The best thing about the online booth is that they can't see you eating your lunch behind the table. That's the best thing.
Dude, great seeing you. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
And everybody, thanks for watching. Stick around because in the next hour, it's Jimmy Palmiani and Amanda Connor. And that's going to be a great panel. I'll be back tomorrow, and I've got two great panels with Hillary Barta and Tony, not Tony Webster, not Tony Chastain, Tony, damn it. Tony Parker. I figured it out. I'm like, come on, brain, move. All right, I did it. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll talk to you in a couple minutes.